Diet does not matter for BJJ. Who said this? John Danaher. That's who said this. And we're going to get into why this may be a genius or idiotic statement.
Danaher is the Israel of jiu-jitsu.
In a lot of ways, he is. I'd say he's a lot better than Israel, but he has John
That's
Danaher.
a fucking stupid thing to say.
Mate, it's wild, right? But he was standing there amongst his boys, and they're all like, yeah, it doesn't matter. And he's pointing to Gordon. He's pointing to Gary. He even points to GSP, who's known to be one of the cleanest living humans of all time, but whatever. And then it's got a clip of Mr. Intelligence himself, big, handsome. Marangali being like, yo, I don't care about my diet.
Yeah.
What does that matter? And I think the biggest problem in all of this is we're kind of underplaying the role of diet in immune system.
Well, tell me, what is Danaher's case?
His case is that in the same way he doesn't believe in strength and conditioning, it's almost as if your skill level is high enough, then the diet won't matter. And Gary Tonin very famously said, if it's the difference between eating a hamburger and eating a steak or veggies, or then your jiu-jitsu is not good enough. That's his strong-held belief.
Yeah.
But if we look at the health of DDS, we can see that there are some health complaints amongst these folks.
Okay, absolutely.
Right.
So, but before we go in there, let's look at the okay, good Danaher.
The
beyond.
logic.
Yeah, what's he onto here? So okay, I can see Tonan's got a point there. I think it was when Tonan was fighting Crone, Gracie, right?
Crone,
and
I
remember
also Kit as well. It was an era of Polaris.
Yeah, but
super
Kit was also a hamburger eater.
He was, yeah.
But Crone was considered like
sushi.
Yeah, sushi, clean. Even though if you watch that Munchies,
smoking weed.
Yeah, he's eating he goes and eats sushi at 2 a.m. and he's totally seemed to have a pretty fucked up kind of schedule. But in any case, I remember a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community arguing about it at the time, being like, "There's no way some hamburger eating motherfucker who doesn't take it seriously is going to be able to do anything to Crone. He eats clean, he's disciplined, samurai spirit, his father, blah, blah." And it's Tonan won, right?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. And so, so you're like, okay, in that individual case of that works well for that athlete, you're like, yeah, I see the logic there.
I think what this misses is in the short term, when you're young and athletic and on steroids, you can pretty much do anything you want. So yeah, you can live on hamburgers and you can do whatever. But what this misses is that there is a cost to pay for that later. And that's what you're not seeing. What is sped up here, through the demands of being a high-level athlete and pushing your body and not fueling it right, things do break. People get injured. People have immune system collapses. They develop all kinds of issues.
Autoimmune stomach disorders?
Oh my God.
Out of here.
Imagine that.
I'm not doing enough steroids. That's why the fucking bacteria has overtaken me.
Yeah, should have been injecting the growth hormone directly into his stomach. Really. That's the answer. No, I think the thing that, because people do respect John Danaher as being this super smart guy in terms of jiu-jitsu, his ability to produce champions, all of this, when he says something like this, people pay attention. People are like, well, fucking Danaher knows, right? That said, Danaher knows a lot about jiu-jitsu and he's done well to produce champions. But if you look at the health and longevity of their careers, you got to maybe ask some questions, because I would say GSP is the kind of exception to the rule, even though possibly when GSP was younger, he may not have eaten that well. Definitely later stages in his career, you follow what he ate and what he did. He was a Puritan.
Yeah.
He's doing the ice baths. He's
doing the water aerobics with the resistance.
He's doing all kinds of wacky stuff to just be an absolute ninja.
Yeah.
But if you look at a guy like Gary Tonin, he's kind of like the antithesis of that, which is parties, loves the strippers, just down to grapple anyone at any time, no fear. Just his psychology around jiu-jitsu was, I have the skill and the will to make it happen. But also, if we have a look at, and I don't, because I love Gary Tonin, so I say this with full respect.
Yeah, he's one of my favorites.
He had gone through some stressful time when he started to cut weight and he started to do MMA. And I don't know the exact contributing factors, because obviously there could be a genetic component, stuff like this. But Gary's hairline ain't what it used to be. right?
Oh, yeah, he was losing.
So
it
he
looked
had
like he had alopecia or something.
Alopecia areata.
Right.
And huge chunks, like really full on. And this is an inflammatory immune response, right?
Yeah.
Basically, your body's immune system is attacking like
Itself.
Itself. Because, and I know this too, like I get eczema and also get a thing called iritis, which is basically inflammation of the eye. And when my immune system, like when I'm not eating enough and I'm having too much caffeine, I'm not sleeping enough, I will start to feel these things. My skin will flare up. And I do get this thing, it's kind of crazy, where my eye will literally almost double in size. So I can't close my eye or fully open it. And I go a bit blind in that eye.
Wow.
And I basically have to like get rid of all caffeine, sleep a ton, take a bunch of like anti-inflammatories, as well as put anti-inflammatory stuff in my eye to get it to calm back down.
Wow.
And it is an inflammatory response. And what we do know for certain is that a lot of your immune system, or the majority of it, is in your gut.
Yeah.
And if we go to Gordon Ryan, who is considered to be the greatest no-gi grappler of all time, why is he kind of on the bench?
Like often sidelined because of these gut issues.
Because, I mean, it was misdiagnosed, but they kind of got to the point where it is a fungal kind of growth in his small intestine, and it's from a bacterial imbalance. Where's that come from? Diet, guys. Like, let's be clear.
Well, yeah, like diet is a huge contributing factor.
It is a massive component of your gut health. And I mean, obviously, we're not going to go super hard into like microbiome and gut health and go full hippie on you. But what we want to talk about is more the role of diet in immune system. And the reason why, and this is what I would say without going too hard on it, a lot of these guys got away with shitty diets is because of steroid use.
Yeah, I mean, I think that we've spoken about steroid use generally, and I think that the issue there for a lot of recreational users these days is that they use it as a way to mask all of the other shit they're not doing well.
Yeah.
So their sleep is shit, they drink too much alcohol, they don't eat particularly well, they probably don't lift as kind of regularly as they should be, but they're like, yo, I'm just going to pump steroids. And it kind of takes care of a lot of it. I feel
good.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm putting on muscle mass.
Up.
I'm still only training once every sort of 15 days. But yeah, you know. And so while I don't actually have a problem necessarily with someone choosing to pump steroids, like you really should be like sort of taking care of all that low-hanging fruit first.
Before you go there.
Right? And so I think what's dangerous about this kind of thing is that for a lot of people, they will hear this out of context. And the context for Danaher is, I produce the most winningest jiu-jitsu competitors in the world. I don't care about anything besides that.
The skill.
All their job is to be as good at grappling as possible. So whatever the if they want to like, you know, be at the strippos all night and
burger.
Yeah, like I don't give a shit. I don't, strength conditioning, I don't care. Their performance on the mats is what matters. And we know this, that for the elite of the elite in any sport, they often have some really gnarly kind of irresponsible behaviors, which almost in a way like allows them to be as good as they are, right? It's like this wildness contrasting kind of John Jones dark and light sort of shit.
Definitely.
But when your everyday grappler, who is the majority of people listening to the show, hears that, they're like, diet doesn't matter.
Woo!
You're like, yes, you are not Gordon Ryan. Yeah, thankfully.
You know, maybe you just don't have the liver enzymes to keep up with his stack. Like, you got to think that there's so much information out there now about the downsides of steroid use. As much as they've shown that, like, if you are lower in testosterone and you take TRT and it brings you to a normal level, you will get a lot of benefits. But going above and beyond the good level of testosterone you need to grow muscle, there's way more negatives than pros. Like, even though you might be able to roll longer, roll harder, there's so many other effects that are really not well understood. And actually, it makes you dumber. That's what they've shown, because it actually
How so?
It blocks your ability to use your prefrontal cortex.
Really?
Yeah, because higher T levels keep you more in your kind of your
lizard brain.
Lizard brain.
So
it's more fight or flight. It's like either fight or
yeah.
like that's where you're at.
I got that Danaher brain.
Man shit. But what's funny is for the best part, like to be really good at jiu-jitsu, you need to be able to think.
Yeah.
You really need to be able to like process and learn and do all these things. But for the best part, these guys in Danaher's team, they're already the best. They've done all the learning, and now it's all about just execution and staying in the fire as long as possible. But we see guys out. And I think this is the thing that's not talked about enough is the role of food in terms of immunity support. Because I'm someone I've had my share of staph infections over the time, and that's partly to do with the immunity with my skin, because I do get eczema and I do have dry skin and it cracks and it's easier to get infections. And, you know, I always shower after training. It's not a question of that, but it's more along the lines of if you are immune compromised in some way, it's harder. Like health is that foundation for fitness and performance. And this typically happens when people are cutting weight. It happened to Hodger Gracie, and even with Gordon, you know, he's had a lot of staph infections that have stopped him from competing, pulling out of stuff. Cutting weight really thins out like starving yourself and still training hard, thins out the kind of mucus lining of your stomach. It lowers your immunity as a whole.
Yeah.
And typically guys have to pull out of fights because they either get injured or they get infections because they're immune compromised.
Yeah.
Having a shit diet is very similar. And they've shown that like when people consume super high amounts of sugar, this also suppresses the immune system. Like there's so many things to suggest that, not even suggest, that show that actually eating better just makes you less sick. You know, so
wild.
Imagine. So even though we can, you know, you don't have to go into like paleo, high carb, low carb, none of that. But if we just go right, you don't want to be sick, so you can be on the mat, feeling good, you know, no staph infections, uninjured. You want to make sure your base level of health is higher. Like this is a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, again, just thinking about the 99.9% of grapplers out there.
Yeah.
You know, life's a bit of a struggle. You know, you're really fucking busy. Nothing is ideal. You want to do a lot. We're all trying to do a lot. And so it's like, well, you're going to need energy for that. And the energy comes from sleeping well, comes from eating well.
Yep.
You know, you're going to need nutrients. That comes from eating well. Like all this shit is absolutely essential to support you in trying to be as productive and as hungry to succeed as you can be. So yeah, for like for the 31-year-old grappler out there that's like working 12 hours a day and, you know, trying to show up to jits 4 times a week, hearing diet doesn't matter is just, it's really misleading.
It is, but the thing is, part of and this is why I think the Dr. Mike Israetel call was good. I think Danaher knew like, this is going to get some attention. You know, like he knew this is a soundbite. People are going to talk about this shit, right?
But it is the same as what he said about strength training, right?
Yeah.
When he got asked about that, where he said like, I've not really seen anything that's made a significant difference, so then I don't really think it matters that much. And you're like, fair enough, at that level.
Except that your best athlete pumps a ton of juice and lifts a bunch of weights.
Oh yeah, but he was talking about which style of strength training, right? And he's like, I've seen that work, I've seen that work.
No, like John Danaher is not an S&C, like he's not the person to ask. In the same way you wouldn't ask Lachlan Giles about S&C. The guy doesn't lift. It's not part of his life.
No, that's right. But again, he's not being asked like, what's your advice for grapplers? It's like, for you, what matters? He's like, doesn't matter. What matters is that they're in
It's because
techniques.
he doesn't know. Like if you look at his best grapplers, they all take steroids. They all lift weights. So the fact that John's like, I don't care. Well, what do your athletes do? Like his athletes are not just a byproduct of his teachings. They are also a byproduct of these other things they do, which is not attributable to him, right?
I've wasted a lot of money on expensive electrolyte drinks like Gatorade, like Powerade, that are really very ineffective. When I switched to Sodi, which is a scientifically formulated blend of electrolytes, I actually noticed the improvement in my jiu-jitsu, both performance, but also my recovery post-training sessions. And to be honest, I get mad at myself every time I forget to take Sodi to training and I end up having to go back to the corner store to buy the diluted Gatorade or whatever it is. So here's the deal, guys. If you want to get the most out of your training and get the best recovery, you need to get yourself Sodi. And the best part is if you go through us and you use the Bulletproof code, you can get 15% off your purchase. All you got to do is go to Sodi, SODII.com.au, get whatever you get, and then use the code Bulletproof15 at checkout for 15% off. Get the electrolytes now, get hydrated, and you too will notice the benefit on the mats.
So I think this is where we got to go. Like anything, we've talked about this before. Like we don't want to put too much stock. Like as much as we admire our jiu-jitsu coaches and we have our jiu-jitsu heroes, it doesn't mean they're the best people. Like, and it doesn't mean they know everything. They know the thing they know, and that's good. And I think this has been a thing for me, even like talking to someone who's really good at strength conditioning, but maybe their diet's shit. I'm not going to take dietary advice from someone who's smashing McDonald's like 3 times a day. It's like, I know that's not good. And I don't need to be a dietitian to understand that, you know? So I think you can look at somebody and appreciate what they're really good at. The problem is when we hold them up as like the fucking prophet.
Yeah.
And if you've ever stood next to John Danaher, you feel like you might catch leprosy. Like he's an unhealthy motherfucker. Like you could just look at John and be like, oh, that guy needs some vitamin D. He needs to get out in the sunshine a bit. Like he's practically see-through. Like he's an unhealthy guy. Like just the whole energy of the guy is just like Sith Lord. You know?
Something Star Wars-ish.
Yeah, like the kind of slightly sunken.
June kind of, what are the...
Dark rings under the eyes.
Like, what are the bald guys?
Harkonnens?
The
Harkonnens.
It's got a bit of that vibe.
There is a bit of that. You just see him emerge.
Like they're floating, cool warriors and shit, John.
No. But the head of the Harkonnen, like floating out of the black oil bars. Like,
Baron. Yeah.
Yeah, with the fat neck and shit. Like, it's like, you can see the evolution of John as he gets more successful and just kind of gets more kind of Harkonnen-esque. But to the side, how does this apply to you? Like, were you thinking about this? All right, is Danaher wrong about this? Yes, he is. It's so sideways is ridiculous. What we probably neglect is we admire many other athletes. We look at other athletes and we're, oh, what a great athlete, whether it be like a elite athlete from football or an elite athlete from basketball or anything, like someone who is just the best at what they do. And it's funny that in so many other sports, other than Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu or submission grappling, they have to be so dialed in. To be the best, to be like LeBron James or to be a Steph Curry or to be like the best quarterback in, you know, to be a Tom Brady, things have to be so dialed in. Now, obviously, a front rower or a defensive tight end or whatever, they're strong as but they're like huge fat units. They're not necessarily the healthiest. But if we look at the absolute elite in a sport, their diet is dialed in, their recovery is dialed in. Like, because there's so much money around those sports, they are thoroughbreds. And so they do so many things to the nth perfect degree, because if you don't, you can't be the number one guy. And I think because jiu-jitsu is still not quite in its full realization of its development, that's why you still have these, I wouldn't say they're exceptions, but you've got people coming in displaying amazing jiu-jitsu, but then the dark side of that is they kind of burn out because they haven't looked after themselves. And we haven't seen somebody who has a LeBron James-esque kind of 20 years, 25 years, you know, like career.
It's a good point.
The jiu-jitsu careers are short because we really burn our bodies doing it. And so if you're someone who has struggled with injury or you have struggled with skin infections and different things like this, you want to consider that this could be related to your immune system and that maybe, you know, you need to get a bit of blood work done. Maybe there is an underlying issue there and diet can make that better or worse depending on your specific instance.
Yeah, shit, maybe you need to eat a salad every now and again.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean,
pick up an apple.
Yeah, maybe.
Put down the Big Mac, man.
Yeah, it's just one of those things. Like even when you start getting into like FODMAPs, which is just like if your body can tolerate certain sugars. My partner Ola, she can't tolerate oligosaccharides, which means like onion, garlic, lentils. There's just certain things that she can't digest them well. So when she has them, she feels sick and bloated, and it affects her really negatively. You take those things out the diet, she feels amazing. And this is just stuff that she didn't know before, and she had to do a few tests to get it. But now she knows it. She doesn't eat those foods, and she feels great. And so it's worth doing a bit of investigation for yourself, do your own research, to just know where your body is at, not just taking some general advice from you know,
Dr. John
Danaher,
Dr. Mike. Yeah, I think at the heart of this, like, what can be problematic about hearing something like that from Danaher is that we look at those those people like Gordon Ryan and Merengani and stuff like, oh, what are these guys doing? Like that, what they're doing on the mats often guides what we're doing, right? Oh, this is the back attack sequence that Gordon uses. Cool. That's what we're training in the gym. That's what's trending right now. And that's all really good. But you also got to remember that for the most part, you are not trying to be him.
No.
And like I said before, most people are really busy. Most people want to probably stay in jiu-jitsu. They just want to keep having a good time with it for the next 20 or so years. And so your approach right now is very different to what his approach is. And so when his coach says something like that, it's like, yeah, he's not talking to you.
Yeah.
Or that's not what you needed to hear.
But confirmation bias is a biatch.
That's right, because burgers taste good.
They do. I fucking love
sausage
a burger.
rolls taste good.
Bro, I love fried chicken. I love a burger. I love a chip like the next man.
Milkshakes are good.
Love me a milkshake. But that said, I also responsibly, low-key, grudgingly, but I know it's good for me. I'm very lucky. I have a wife who's very adamant / strict about eat your vegetables.
Wow.
Eat your rice. Do this, do that. And I mean, I do. It's not that something I wouldn't do, but she's on my back about it, because she's like, get your prostate checked. You want me to check that for you? I'm like, babe, no, it's okay. Please, it's okay. She's like, I got the glove. Are you ready? I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll get the health check.
They got blood tests for those these days.
Be relaxed. The thing is, because she cares about me, she's and she's also bossy kind of lady. She's on my back about it. And I think the thing is, I love that. I appreciate it. But for you, if you're out there and you don't have someone kind of checking up on you, if you're someone who loves burgers and you don't give a fuck about a salad, right? You're like, Danaher said it doesn't matter. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah.
And then maybe Gary Tonin comes out and goes, or say Craig Jones comes out and goes, in tobacco pouches, am I right? The new Zins, fucking get it in there, focus up. You're like, this isn't the person you should be taking health advice from.
Yeah.
Just because your favorite athlete vapes in the car before they come in to train doesn't mean that's what you should also do. That is not causal to their success.
Yeah.
If anything, they are successful in spite of that. And I think this is the misunderstanding. It was always the thing with the Diaz brothers, right? They always smoked weed. And they're great fighters, legendary fighters. And people are like, oh, Diaz brothers smoke weed. And you're like, yeah, but they also run marathons and they do all this other crazy
Diaz brothers, man.
They are not successful at fighting because they smoke weed. They're successful at fighting in spite of smoking weed. It's associative. It's not causal. And this is the mistake we often make, that we see a behavior and we think that's the reason why they're good, and it's not. And what we want to do is just encourage you all to be more healthy, because we know that's going to support your training. It's going to have you feeling better, and you'll just enjoy your life more, because getting sick all the time is whack, and you don't need that.
Damn right.
There it is, folks. So yes, if you want to train better, be stronger, all those things, we got an app, and we like to encourage people to use it to help them stay healthy, stay on track. Just go to the App Store, go to the Google Play Store, download it, 14-day free trial, get around it. We'll see you in there. Let's get fitter and healthier, y'all. Peace.